Okay, hi there. My name is David Yow. I'm one of the idiots in the Jesus Lizard.
Beautiful. Idiots might be selling yourself a bit short, mate.
Well, let's be honest.
Fair call. So the Jesus Lizard return with your new album, Rack, this Friday, September the 13th, mate. So how are you feeling about it?
Pretty good. It's a little strange to be doing a record this. We broke up in 1999, and so now it's however many years later. It's kind of an odd thing to have gotten back together and written enough songs to make an album and made an album. But I'm happy, I mean, it turned out much better than I would have guessed.
Cool. So for those who might not know, like this is your first new album in 26 years, which we'll talk more about later. But how did you actually approach this album, mate? Like were you aiming the music at existing older fans, or were you sort of more looking at a new, fresh audience?
Neither. I don't think we were like imagining what people would think about it very much at all. I just heard a quote from a filmmaker whose name is escaping me right now. And he said that making films is very much like having sex because he does it for his own pleasure. And if anybody else enjoys it, that's great. So that's very similar to, I think, the way we approached um, writing songs and recording. Like, uh, but we make it to where we like it. If anybody else likes it, that's great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can you tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
Um, it's sort of kind of weird to ask me just because I'm the singer and I don't really consider myself much of a musician. I don't know music theory. I can't write music or read music. So that's probably a better question to be answered, addressed by the other guys. But, I mean, we're still the same four guys. We just have a lot more wrinkles and less hair. So we're just, continuing on as always, I think. I think that there's a possibility that we might be better than we were back then simply because of experience. I mean, there are people coming to our shows who weren't even born the last time we played a show. Um,
So to date, you've released the singles Hide and Seek and Alexis Feels Sick. So would you say they're a good sonic representation of what to expect from the whole album, or they only scratch the surface?
there's a fair variety. Let's see, what are the songs on this fucking record? Um, yeah, there's one that nobody's heard yet that is very, very bluesy. It's very Led Zeppelin-y. Um, the last song on the record called Swan the Dog is just weird as shit. Um, yeah, it's mostly, upbeat, up-tempo rock, but it's then like we've kind of always done some weird stuff that doesn't necessarily seem to fit with the rest of it or not.
And so did you try and modernize your sound at all on this one, or did you sort of more just stick to the older style that you know and love?
Um, I think it was pretty straightforward. I mean, um, whatever kind of technology is being used in recording these days, maybe we utilize that. But yeah, I don't know of any efforts to try and sound more more modern. It's guitar, drums, and bass.
Yeah, cool. But looking through the album, I didn't see a song called Rack. So it's not often that there's an album title without the song on the actual album. Is there a reason for that?
I don't think that we've ever had a song, what a pure head goat liar lash. I don't think we've ever had a song that was the title of the record.
All right. So we go back in history a bit then, bro, and get to know the band a bit better. Like the Jesus Lizard formed in Chicago back in 1987. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band, and where did you sort of fit in initially?
Oh God. Um, Well, we actually started in Austin, Texas in '87.
Right.
Um, but uh, I don't know. It was weird at the time. Like David and I had been doing a band called Scratch Acid for a few years, and we were accustomed to that kind of music and that kind of behavior. Um, uh, and then Dwayne, our guitar player, who is kind of more classically trained musician and was, capable of doing things that were a lot fancier than anything that we knew of. And so I guess that's sort of the way we were when we started with using a drum machine. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, Chris.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good.
Okay.
You were pretty quickly labeled a noise rock band, mate, which I reckon's a fucking cool term for a band. Noise rock. I haven't heard that one before, but it's cool.
Oh, that's what I remember being called most while we were a band. I think in the mid '80s with Scratch Acid, there was a term going around with bands like Sonic Youth and Big Black and the Swans and us. And I think the Butthole Surfers were included in there. They were calling it pig fucker music. And I thought that was really good.
Awesome.
That's better than grunge or alternative. I
Yeah,
like pig fucker music.
big fucking music. And there's another thing reading through the press that caught my attention too, mate. Like, there's a part in there that says you were paid to not record an album by your label at the time. What's the story there? That's great.
Um, After Nirvana feeding frenzy of record labels wanting to, who was going to be the next big thing. And so we signed a 3 record contract with Capitol and Capitol/EMI. And I told the guy who was running the company at the time, Gary Gersh, that I said, we're not going to sell any more records than we did on an independent label. And he was like, "Oh, I don't think so, David. I think we're going to do really good. We're going to sell a lot of records." And so we did the first 2 records, and it wasn't selling any more than what we had done previously. And so they said, "You're dismissed. You don't have to do a third record." And so I immediately called our manager and said, "I quit."
Uh,
So
Oh,
it wasn't also the last few years of it. It wasn't what it should have been. Our drummer was sort of he was sort of he had to leave the band for different kinds of personal reasons and stuff. And so after that, it became a job with this guy who I didn't like playing drums. And So the first opportunity to stop doing it, I grabbed it. It's like I didn't want to do it without Mac. I didn't want to do it without the drummer that we have back now with us.
very cool. And like after breaking up for that period, like the band reconvened in 2009 for a few shows, then sporadically played together after that. But at what point did you personally know that the band would be getting back together and writing new music?
Oh, I don't know, about a year or so ago, the other guys played some ideas for me that they had for a few new songs, and I was impressed. I liked them. I thought they were good. I thought it was viable, and it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to you know make a record. I don't know how long we're going to stick around. I don't know how, we're all pretty old. I don't know how long after all this touring this year and next year. I have no idea what the future holds. Probably just, a grave.
Yeah, well, I might be far behind you, brother. Before we let you go, David, I've started a new segment. I go digging through your old Facebook photos and I come up with a couple of interesting ones that I sort of present to bands to give a bit of a please explain to. So I got a couple from you guys and just want you to tell me the story behind them. So I found this one. Oh, that's a hell of a stage dive.
That was at a show here in LA at a place called the Henry Fonda Theater. And it was a really, really fun show. And throughout the years, I would occasionally do more theatrical stuff, like instead of, just wearing your shirt and pants and stuff. And that particular show, I came out before the other guys wearing that white robe and a whole head poodle mask. And I was wearing a bald wig, which now I kind of don't need. Uh, and yeah, there was this metamorphose of underneath the robe I had on a zebra print thong. And as the show progressed, I got fully dressed instead of the other way around, getting fully undressed.
Rightio. Well, that sort of explains the next photo I've got for you then, which was that one. So that's our
Yeah, yeah. So that's the beginning of the show. And I just had that bucket full of black ink. And I just soaked my arms in it and did whatever it was I did.
Wow, that's insane. Do you still do that sort of stuff live?
I haven't since then. It was always sporadic. It was never, it was just because, I mean, I was on vacation with my wife and I saw that poodle mask in the store window and I said, I gotta have that. And the goofy idea just sort of made itself up.
It actually looks
But
kind of regal, doesn't it? It looks very, very regal and royal, sort of. It's a good looking mask.
yeah, yeah. I fucked it up on purpose. It got torn up, and so you know.
Very good. All right, Dave. Well, that's all I got for you, mate. Thanks for your time today. The new album, Rack, which is your first in 26 years, comes out this Friday, September the 13th. And it sounds like you guys are pretty busy, mate. So best of luck with everything.